The legend of the Loch Ness Monster has captivated people's imaginations for centuries, with countless sightings, blurry photographs, and exciting theories attempting to prove the existence of a mysterious creature lurking beneath the dark waters of Loch Ness in Scotland. Some believe Nessie could be a surviving dinosaur, while others think it might be an unknown species of giant reptile. But what if modern science could finally put these speculations to rest? In a fascinating study, a team of geneticists set out to analyze the lake's water in search of biological evidence, actual DNA traces, that could reveal if a mysterious creature truly exists in its depths. To conduct this massive scientific investigation, researchers took over 250 water samples from various locations in Loch Ness. These samples contained tiny fragments of DNA shed by living organisms, whether from their skin, waste, or other biological materials. After analyzing these genetic traces, scientists identified more than 3,000 species living in and around the lake. They found DNA from fish, deer, pigs, bacteria, and even humans. But when it came to large, mysterious creatures, such as aquatic dinosaurs, giant reptiles, or even massive fish like sturgeons or catfish, there was no trace of their DNA in the samples. This lack of evidence strongly suggests that no large unknown species are hiding in the lake. However, there was one interesting discovery: an overwhelming presence of eel DNA. This led some researchers to suggest that if Nessie ever existed, it might not have been a monster at all, but rather an unusually large eel. While this study doesn't completely rule out the existence of an unknown creature, it does provide strong scientific reasoning against the legend of Nessie. Could it be that generations of sightings were simply cases of mistaken identity? Or is there something lurking in the depths that has yet to be discovered? What do you think? Has science solved the mystery? Or is there still a chance that Loch Ness hides a legendary creature beneath its waters? The story of an Inuit man using his own frozen poop to create a knife and butcher a dog has been passed around for years, capturing the imagination of scholars and anthropologists. But until recently, no one had actually put this bizarre claim to the test. Could human feces, when frozen solid, truly be sharp enough to function as a weapon or tool? A team of researchers led by anthropologist Men Erin decided to find out through an unusual and, quite frankly, messy experiment. To make this test as accurate as possible, Erin followed a strict Arctic diet for 8 days. This diet consisted of foods traditionally eaten in extremely cold environments such as meat and fish, to ensure that his waste would have a similar composition to what an Inuit person might have produced. Once the raw material was collected, the team froze the feces into solid blocks and used metal files to carefully shape them into sharp, blade-like edges. But the real test came when they attempted to use these poop knives to cut through pig hide, something that would simulate butchering an animal in the wild. The results? Complete failure. Instead of slicing through the hide, the frozen fecal blades simply smeared brown streaks onto the meat. No matter how sharp they tried to make them, the knives were simply too fragile and ineffective to actually function as cutting tools. The experiment provided scientific proof that the famous tale was likely more fiction than fact. As Erin put it, experimentally, it is not supported. This study may sound bizarre, but it actually highlights an important aspect of scientific inquiry, testing widely accepted claims to see if they hold up under real-world conditions. In this case, a long-standing myth was put to the test, and the results suggest it's likely nothing more than a fascinating but improbable tale. But what do you think? Could there be another factor the researchers didn't consider, or is this legend finally debunked? Our senses of taste and smell have always been known to work together, helping us fully experience flavors. But what if your tongue could actually smell, just like your nose? This might sound unbelievable, but new research suggests that our sense of taste and smell are even more closely linked than we once thought. Scientists recently conducted a fascinating study where they exposed human taste cells grown in a lab to odor molecules. Shockingly, the taste cells reacted in the same way that smell-detecting cells in our noses do. Here's how it works. When an odor molecule comes into contact with a taste cell, it attaches itself to a receptor on the cell's surface. In the body, this kind of interaction would normally trigger a chain reaction, sending a signal to the brain. This is exactly what happens in the nasal passages when we smell something. But this study suggests that the same thing might also be happening on the tongue, meaning our taste buds might be capable of sensing smell directly. This discovery could completely change our understanding of how we experience flavors. If taste cells can actually detect scents, it might explain why food tastes so different when we have a blocked nose, or why certain flavors seem stronger than others. Scientists are still exploring this fascinating connection. But one thing is clear: our senses are far more complex and interconnected than we ever realized. What do you think? Could our tongues really be capable of smelling? And how do you think this could change the way we understand taste? Deep in the lush forests of New Zealand, scientists made a shocking discovery. What appeared to be a dead tree stump was, in fact, very much alive. But how? Unlike other trees that rely on their own roots to draw in water and nutrients, this stump was found clinging to the roots of nearby kauri trees, essentially leeching off them like a botanical vampire. This strange phenomenon was first noticed by researchers hiking through the dense forests of West Auckland, where towering kauri trees, reaching heights of up to 165 feet, 50 meters, dominate the landscape. During the day, these massive conifers absorbed water from the soil, transporting it up through their trunks and into their leaves. But at night, when the trees slowed down their water usage, something unusual happened. The stump began to siphon the remaining water and nutrients from the neighboring tree roots, keeping itself alive despite having no leaves or branches of its own. This discovery raises fascinating questions about how trees interact with each other. Are forests simply groups of individual trees, or could they function as a single, interconnected superorganism working together to sustain life in ways we never imagined? According to Sebastian Leusinger, a researcher from Auckland University of Technology, this finding suggests that trees might not just be competing for survival, but could also be cooperating in unexpected ways. If a seemingly lifeless stump can remain alive by tapping into the root system of its neighbors, what else might be happening beneath the forest floor? Could trees communicate and support each other in ways we don't yet understand? What do you think? Are forests more like communities, where trees help each other, or is this just an unusual case of a tree taking advantage of its surroundings? Oobleck is one of the strangest and most fascinating substances you can make at home. It behaves like a liquid when you pour it or let it slowly flow, but the moment you hit it, squeeze it, or apply force, suddenly, it turns solid. This bizarre behavior is what makes oobleck so fun to play with, but scientists are taking their curiosity a step further by studying how this material reacts under different conditions. To better understand oobleck, researchers created a computer model that simulates how it behaves in different scenarios. They tested what would happen if oobleck were pressed between two plates, struck by a flying object, or even run over by a wheel. These experiments give scientists deeper insight into how this non-Newtonian fluid, meaning it doesn't follow the typical rules of liquids, reacts to pressure and impact. The ultimate goal? Finding real-world applications for oobleck beyond just being a fun science experiment. Researchers believe it could be used for practical purposes, such as temporarily filling potholes on busy roads. Imagine a material that stays soft and easy to work with, but instantly hardens under the weight of cars, preventing damage and reducing road hazards. This fascinating research could open up new ways to use oobleck in construction, safety, or even body armor. But what do you think? Could oobleck become a useful tool in everyday life, or will it remain just a fun science trick? And that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you found this discussion interesting and thought-provoking. But remember, the conversation doesn't end here. It continues with you. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep exploring fascinating topics with us, make sure to subscribe to Wisdom TV. It only takes a second, but it makes a huge difference. By subscribing, you become part of a growing community that seeks wisdom, knowledge, and deeper understanding. And don't forget to hit the bell icon. That way you'll never miss an update. Every time we post a new video, YouTube will notify you instantly, so you're always in the loop with our latest content. We also want to hear your thoughts. The comments section is open for you to share your insights, opinions, and questions. What do you think about today's topic? Do you have any theories, experiences, or ideas to add? Drop a comment below. We read every single one, and your feedback helps shape future content on Wisdom TV. Thank you for watching, for being part of this journey, and for your continuous support. Stay curious, stay open-minded, and as always, keep seeking wisdom. Until next time, take care and see you in the next video.